The Seamless Journey. Hello, wonderful friend. How are you this evening? I hope you're settling in comfortably, ready to let the world fade away for a little while. Thank you so much for tuning into boring sci-fi for sleep. It truly brings me joy to have you here. I'd love to know where you're listening from tonight. Maybe you're at home in your favorite spot, or perhaps you're traveling yourself, looking something gentle to help you rest. Wherever you are, I'm grateful for your company. Tonight's story follows a mother on a journey, not a stressful rush through airports and delays, but a peaceful, seamless trip across the stars. We'll watch as every element of modern travel works together to create calm as AI and technology serve humanity gently, making space for creativity and rest even while covering impossible distances. So take a deep breath. Let your body relax into wherever you're sitting or lying. There's no urgency here, no stress. Just a quiet day of travel that feels more like meditation than motion. Let's begin. 4:47 a.m. The Quiet House. Sarah Fields woke 3 minutes before her alarm, as she often did. The house was completely silent. That particular quality of silence that only exists in the early morning, when even the refrigerator seems to hold its breath. Outside her window, the Montana landscape was just beginning to lighten, the mountains' dark shapes against a sky turning from black to deep blue. She lay still for a moment, listening. From the room next to hers, she could hear Tommy's gentle snoring. Her 8-year-old always slept like he was trying to win a contest. Down the hall, the twins were silent, curled together in their shared bed, as they'd been since they were infants. And from the study-turned-temporary bedroom, she knew her husband Marcus was dead to the world, having stayed up late finishing a project. Sarah smiled. She loved these early mornings, these moments of peace before her household erupted into cheerful chaos. But today, she wouldn't be here when they woke up. Today was her trip to the Andromeda Conference on Kepler 442b, and by the time her family sat down to breakfast, she would be halfway to the space elevator. She rose quietly, already showered and mostly packed the night before. Her bag, a single sleek carry-on that would accompany her through every stage of the journey, sat by the door, already checked and confirmed by the travel AII that had been managing her itinerary for weeks. Everything was arranged, coordinated, optimized for maximum calm and minimum stress. Sarah activated her ear implants with a gentle tap behind her right ear. Immediately, the world softened. The implants didn't block all sound. She could still hear if someone called her name or if there was an emergency. But they filtered out the ambient noise that created stress, the hum of electronics, the distant highway traffic, the subtle creaks and pings of a house settling. All of it faded to near silence, leaving only peace. She dressed in comfortable travel clothes, soft pants, a loose sweater, shoes that felt like slippers but looked professional. Everything was made from smart fabric that would regulate temperature, resist wrinkles, and adapt to different environments. She would wear this same outfit through 5 different stages of travel and arrive looking as fresh as she did now. A quick stop in the kitchen for coffee, real coffee, the last she'd have for a while, and a protein bar. She left notes for the family on the table, each one handwritten, because the kids loved that. Tommy, Remember your science project is due Friday. Love you, Mum. Lily and Lucas, be good for Papa. I'll bring you something special. Love, Mama. Marcus, I've already prepped meals for the week. Don't let the twins eat only pasta. I love you. At 5:15 a.m. precisely, her notification chimed. The car was here. 5:15 a.m. The flying car. Sarah's autonomous flying car was parked in the driveway, its sleek silver surface reflecting the dawn. It was a rental. She only used it for these trips, and it had been waiting since 5 a.m., climate-controlled and ready. The door opened as she approached, recognizing her biometrics. She slid into the back seat, which immediately adjusted to her preferred position, slightly reclined, with extra lumbar support. The bag stowed itself in the compartment beneath her feet. The door closed with a whisper of hydraulics. "Good morning, Sarah," the car's AI said in a gentle, gender-neutral voice. 47 minutes. Weather is clear. I've prepared a suggested route that minimizes morning air traffic. Shall we proceed? Yes, thank you, Sarah said, settling back. The car lifted smoothly, so smoothly she barely felt the transition from ground to air. The ear implants filtered out the slight hum of the propulsion system, leaving only silence. They rose above the house, and Sarah looked down at it. Her little two-story home surrounded by pine trees, smoke beginning to curl from the chimney as the automatic morning heat kicked in. Her family was in there, safe and sleeping. She would miss them, but the missing was gentle, without anxiety. She would be back in what felt like 2 days, though the calendar would say 3 months had passed. Time dilation from the interstellar jump made these trips strange, but manageable. The car banked gently and headed east, toward Denver. Sarah pulled out her tablet and reviewed her schedule. The conference itself was 5 days long, but with travel and time dilation, she'd be gone for subjective time of about 48 hours. The interstellar ship would put her in suspended animation for the journey, 90 days each way in real time, but she would experience only the moment of falling asleep and then waking up, as if no time had passed at all. She had learned not to think too hard about the physics. It worked, it was safe, and it meant she could attend conferences on other worlds without missing more than a couple of days with her family. That was enough. The car flew smoothly over the landscape. Below, other vehicles moved along their paths, all coordinated by the traffic management AI that ensured no one ever came too close to anyone else. The sun rose behind them, painting the clouds in shades of pink and gold. Sarah activated her work interface and began reviewing the presentation she would give at the conference. She was a theoretical physicist specializing in quantum field harmonics, a niche field, but one that was becoming increasingly important as humanity spread across the stars. Her work had applications in everything from faster communication to more efficient power generation. But today, she wasn't thinking about work. She had 47 minutes of peaceful flight, and she wanted to use them for something different, something creative. She opened her entertainment library and scrolled through the public domain films. There, a classic from the early 21st century, a romantic comedy about two people who kept almost but not quite meeting in New York City. She'd seen it before, loved it, and suddenly had an idea. What if she turned it into a musical? the creative process. Sarah activated Wave, her AI creative assistant, a specialized program she'd subscribed to specifically for these kinds of projects. She wasn't an artist, not really, but she loved making things. And with modern AI tools, anyone could create at a professional level, even if they lacked traditional training. Wave, she said quietly. I want to create a musical adaptation of this film. She uploaded the movie file. Keep the basic plot and characters, but set it in a future city. Maybe one of the Martian arcologies. I want the tone to be hopeful and romantic, with a touch of melancholy. Songs should feel like they could have been written in the 2080s, that neo-jazz revival style. Understood, the AI replied. Analysis complete. I've identified 12 key scenes that would work well as musical numbers. Would you like to review the suggested song list? Yes, please. A list appeared on her tablet. First, opening number. City of Tomorrow. Ensemble. 1. Character introduction. Almost again. Romantic lead. 1. Comic relief. Wrong train, right time. Supporting character. First, love song. Across the arcology. Duet. First, conflict song. Different orbits. Ensemble. And so on. Sarah smiled. This looks perfect. Let's start with the opening number. Give me a melody first. The AI generated a musical phrase, bright, optimistic, with that distinctive neo-jazz sound she'd requested. Horns and synthesizers, a walking bass line, drums that swung just slightly off the beat. Good, Sarah said. Now let me try singing the first verse. Don't judge my voice. Just work with what I give you. She began to sing, making up lyrics on the spot. In a city made of glass and light, where the stars are always bright, people rush from here to there / never stopping, never aware. Her voice was fine, not great, not terrible, just an ordinary untrained voice. But as she sang, the AI worked in real time, analyzing her pitch, her rhythm, her phrasing. When she finished, the AI played back a version where her voice had been subtly enhanced, still recognizably hers, but smoother, more on-key, with a professional quality that made her sound like an actual singer. Oh, that's lovely, Sarah said, genuinely pleased. Keep that. Now let's do the chorus. They worked together, Sarah improvising melodies and lyrics, the AI refining and producing. It was collaborative, playful, fun. By the time the car began its descent toward Denver Regional Airport, they had completed 3 full songs. Sarah saved her progress. She would continue working during the next legs of the journey. 6:02 a.m. Denver Regional Airport. The car landed smoothly on the departure deck. The door opened and Sarah stepped out into the perfectly climate-controlled environment of the airport. Her bag followed her automatically, rolling along on its smart wheels. The airport was busy but not chaotic. Her AI travel assistant had already mapped the optimal path from arrival to her gate, and now it guided her with gentle haptic pulses in her smartwatch. A slight vibration on her left wrist meant turn left. On her right wrist meant turn right. Straight ahead required no signal, just the absence of vibration, which meant keep going, you're on track. Sarah loved this feature. No need to check maps or signs, no stress about getting lost, just a gentle guidance that let her walk peacefully, looking around, observing without anxiety. She passed through security, a simple biometric scan that took 3 seconds. No removing shoes, no unpacking bags, no stress. The system knew who she was, knew she wasn't carrying anything dangerous, and waved her through with a friendly chime. Her gate was in Concourse B, a 12-minute walk. But the AI had built in time for coffee, and as she walked, another gentle pulse directed her toward a small cafe that her preference profile indicated she would like. She ordered a cappuccino from the automated system. It knew her preferences, made it perfectly, and sat for a moment, watching people. Everyone moved peacefully, guided by their own AIs, nobody rushing or stressed. It hadn't always been like this. Sarah remembered stories her grandmother told about old airport experiences, the anxiety, the confusion, the feeling of being herded like cattle. Modern travel was so different, so much gentler. As she sat, a woman at the next table looked over and smiled. "Excuse me," she said, "but I love your sweater. Is that the new responsive fabric?" Sarah looked down at her sweater, which had adjusted its color slightly to complement the cafe's lighting. "Yes, it's wonderful for travel. It adapts to everything." They chatted for a few minutes. The woman was traveling to the Mars colonies to visit her daughter, her first trip off-world. She was nervous, but excited. Sarah shared some tips about space travel, reassured her that it was easier than it seemed. They exchanged contact information, promising to follow each other's travel blogs. "Safe travels," the woman said as Sarah prepared to leave. "You too," Sarah replied, meaning it. It was one of those brief, warm interactions that made travel feel like connection rather than isolation. The walk to the gate took exactly as long as the AI had predicted. Along the way, Sarah passed shops, restaurants, gardens. The airport was designed to feel more like a pleasant plaza than a transportation hub. Everything was calm, spacious, unhurried. At the gate, the jump jet was already boarding. Sarah found her seat, window side, with extra legroom exactly as she'd requested, and settled in. 6:45 a.m. The jump jet. The jump jet would take her from Denver to the space elevator station in Ecuador. The flight would take 43 minutes, reaching an altitude of 85 kilometers before descending to the equatorial platform. Sarah continued working on her musical as the jet took off. The acceleration was smooth, cushioned by inertial dampeners that made the extreme speeds feel like nothing more than a gentle push. She hardly noticed when they broke through the atmosphere into the black sky of near space. She worked on the love duet, Across the Arcology. This was the emotional heart of the musical, where the two main characters finally met and recognized their connection. She needed it to be perfect. She sang softly, improvising. "I've been looking without knowing what I'd find, crossing paths that wind and wind, till I saw you, and time stopped." The AI captured her voice, enhanced it, harmonized it with the second part. Sarah listened to the playback and felt tears prick her eyes. It was beautiful. The AI had understood exactly what she wanted. The mixture of joy and longing, the sense of finding something you didn't know you were looking for. "That's the one," she said. "Lock that." By the time the jump jet began its descent to the space elevator platform, she had 8 songs complete. Only 4 more to go. 7:30 a.m. The space elevator. The space elevator was humanity's greatest engineering achievement, or one of them. A cable stretching from Earth's equator to geostationary orbit and beyond, with climber cars that could carry passengers and cargo to orbit in just 8 hours. Sarah's car was comfortable, more like a small apartment than a vehicle. It had a bed, a bathroom, a small kitchenette, and large windows that provided stunning views of Earth falling away below and space opening up above. She settled in for the 8-hour climb. The motion was imperceptible. The car moved at a constant speed, with no acceleration or deceleration to feel. It was more like being in a very tall building than traveling. Sarah ordered lunch from the car's food synthesizer, a simple pasta with vegetables, and continued working on her musical. The remaining songs came together quickly now that she had established the style and tone. By hour 3 of the climb, the musical was complete. "Wave," she said. "Let's package this for publication. I want the full musical, all songs, instrumental arrangements, and a simple staging guide. Also, create a novelization, expand the story, add more character depth. Keep the tone consistent with the songs. And I want an audiobook version using my voice clone. 47 minutes for the complete package," the AI replied. "Perfect. While you're doing that, prepare marketing materials. Target audience is people who enjoy romantic musicals with a sci-fi setting, ages 25 to 55, all genders. Budget, standard tier. Let's aim for slow burn success rather than viral spike. I want this to find its audience organically." Understood. Marketing parameters set. Sarah watched through the window as Earth curved below, clouds swirling in patterns she could almost but not quite predict. She thought about her musical, about the story of 2 people finding each other across a vast city. It was a simple story, one that had been told countless times, but it was hers now, filtered through her creativity and given new life. The AI pinged. "All materials ready for your review." Sarah spent the next hour reviewing everything, reading the novel, listening to the audiobook, imagining how the musical would look on stage. The AI had done beautiful work, but it had used her input as the foundation. This was genuinely collaborative creation. "Approved," she said finally. "Publish everything. Novel and audiobook to the major platforms, musical to the theatrical licensing networks. Set the price point at, let's make it accessible. $1 for digital downloads. Standard licensing fees for live productions. Publishing now. Initial market response will be available in approximately 72 hours. Sarah smiled and set it aside. Maybe nothing would come of it. Maybe a few hundred people would download it and enjoy it. That would be enough. She had created something during her travel time, had turned empty hours into art. That felt good, regardless of outcome. 3:30 p.m. The orbital station. The space elevator deposited Sarah at the orbital station. a massive ring-shaped structure that served as a hub for interstellar travel. The station was beautiful, all sweeping curves and transparent sections that let you see Earth on one side and the stars on the other. Sarah's interstellar ship, the Horizon, wouldn't depart for another 3 hours, so she had time to wander. She walked through the station's gardens, where plants grew in low gravity, creating unusual shapes and patterns. She browsed shops that sold crafts from different worlds. She sat in an observation lounge and watched ships arrive and depart, moving in perfect choreography. A message appeared on her tablet. Her musical had already gotten its first download. Someone in Tokyo had purchased the audiobook. Then another download, then 3 more. Sarah felt a flutter of excitement, but pushed it aside. She didn't want to watch obsessively. Whatever happened would happen while she slept. At 6 p.m., boarding began for the Horizon. Sarah made her way to the ship, a sleek vessel designed for long-distance travel, with accommodations for 200 passengers in suspended animation. 6:30 p.m. Suspended animation. The suspended animation chamber was private, comfortable, more like a hotel room than anything medical. Sarah changed into the provided sleep clothing, brushed her teeth, set her personal items in the secure locker. A technician came by to check her vitals and explain the process, though Sarah had done this before. You'll feel drowsy in about 30 seconds after the process starts. When you wake up, we'll be in orbit around Kepler 442b. Subjectively, it'll feel instant. Any questions? No, I'm good, Sarah said. See you on the other side. She lay down in the pod. The lid closed with a soft hiss. She felt a slight prick as the IV inserted. Nutrients and suspended animation drugs would keep her body stable for the 90-day journey. Her last thought before darkness took her was about her family. She imagined Marcus getting the kids ready for school. Imagined Tommy's excitement when he realized she was gone. Imagined the twins asking when Mama would be back. She imagined them eating the meals she'd prepared, living their lives, missing her but being okay. And then she slept, and time became meaningless, and the ship began its journey across the light years, carrying her dreaming body toward another star. The next morning, 3 months later. Sarah woke gradually, consciousness returning in soft waves. The pod's lid opened. She felt rested, completely, perfectly rested, as if she'd had the best night's sleep of her life. No grogginess, no confusion, just clear-headed wakefulness. A technician was there with water and a light snack. Welcome back, Dr. Fields. We're in orbit around Kepler 442b. How do you feel? Good, Sarah said, sitting up slowly. Really good, actually. Excellent. Take your time. Shuttle to the surface departs in 2 hours. Sarah showered, changed into fresh clothes, the same style as before. Why mess with what worked? And checked her messages. There were the expected ones from Marcus and the kids, recorded before she left. There were conference details and schedule updates. And there was a notification from Wave, her AI assistant. She opened it, curious. Sarah, I have an update on your creative project. Your musical, Across the Arcology, has been downloaded 1.2 billion times at the $1 price point. Total revenue, $1.2 billion. After platform fees and taxes, net revenue, $847 million. Per your standing instructions, I have invested these funds in your preferred portfolio and distributed 85% to your designated charities. Your personal net gain, $127 million, currently invested in stable growth funds. Additionally, 3 major theatrical companies have licensed the musical for production, with opening nights scheduled in New York, London, and New Olympus. Early reviews of the novel are overwhelmingly positive. Congratulations. Sarah stared at the message, read it again, and then laughed. A genuine, surprised, delighted laugh. Somehow, while she slept, her little creative project had become a phenomenon. 1 billion people had spent $1 on something she'd made during a morning of travel. The money, far more than she'd ever imagined, was already working to help causes she cared about. Education programs, environmental restoration, medical research in developing worlds. She sent a quick message to Marcus. Honey, something unexpected happened. Call you when I land. P.S. We can finally afford that addition to the house. And the kids' college funds are very secure. I love you. Then she packed up her things, double-checked her presentation one more time, and prepared to head down to the planet's surface for the conference. The entire journey, from her quiet house in Montana to orbit around an alien world, had taken subjectively less than 24 hours. She had traveled millions of kilometers. She had created something that touched 1 billion lives. She had earned more money than she'd expected to make in her entire career. And most of it was already helping people. And most importantly, she felt rested, peaceful, ready to do the work she'd come here to do. Modern travel, Sarah thought, as she headed to the shuttle, was really quite remarkable. Sleep now, dear listener. Imagine yourself on your own seamless journey, everything working perfectly, every moment bringing unexpected joy. Let technology serve you gently. Let creativity flow without effort. Rest in the knowledge that while you sleep, good things are happening. Connections are forming. Your impact is rippling outward in ways you can't imagine. Sleep well. Dream of journeys that feel like rest.